Hello and welcome to the Full Force Weekly, proudly brought to you by Battle Action Force, the Treasury Editions. I am your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. In this episode, I bring you all the news from the past week in the world of G.I. Joe. So what is it, me? It's the Full Force Weekly. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? So everyone's only 7 people watching at the moment. Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well this Saturday, 3 p.m.-ish afternoon time. How's it going? Having a good weekend? Because usually you start the week. Well, you don't really start the weekend off with the on. It's like Friday's technically the weekend. So you get your Friday night, and then you usually come in on a Saturday morning and, treat this as cartoons or whatever you want to do. But yeah, I hope you're doing really well. I hope everyone's having a good time in general. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. It's been an interesting and weird and very kind of crazy week. It's also been, in regards to Hasbro and what have you, and G.I. Joe and all that kind of stuff, it's been eventful, to say the least. And we'll be getting into it. Of course, if you saw the news burst this week, then you'll know what I'm talking about. Chris, am I following your the mothership to Boston? No, I ain't going anywhere anymore. I'm staying firm where we are at the moment. Swindon Town are top of League 2. Craziness, says Simon Goodall. Well done. I don't want to talk about football, all right? My team are terrible. Anyway, yes, lots to get into. Lots of interesting stuff to really delve into this weekly. And we've got, obviously, comics news. And again, I did go through a lot of this in the news burst in the week. But yeah, there's still plenty of discussion to be had. So let's get into it. And we'll start, of course, with said comics news. Yes, the Gears of Joe, as it's been called. So yeah, let's talk about the announcement that Steve Beach is going to be doing a number of variant covers for a Real American Hero, labeled Gears of Joe, showing iconic characters with iconic vehicles. Or I suppose like spotlighting an iconic G.I. Joe character set alongside their signature vehicles and gear, which have become series characters in their own right. It's funny because this kind of sparked a bit of a conversation in the weekly regarding what these particular characters, what would be their significant sort of vehicle combination. Obviously, we'll get through. We'll start here with Cobra Commander and the Hiss Tank, and Duke and the Skyhawk here. Now, I'll just read out some of the information, shall I? So, Steve Beach debuts all new Gears of Joe variant covers for G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero. There'll be cover C's, 1 in 10 incentive covers. It's going to be a 10-part cover series, launching with issue 321 this October. As we've already seen this cover of the Hiss Tank and Cobra Commander, but it's sort of like giving it, and actually I think the Duke and the Skyhawk covers also had been revealed prior to this as well. But obviously it was before they really announced officially what the whole situation was, and that Steve Beach would be doing this kind of like series basically. Also to say that in the information, I said this again in the news burst, we have had a bit of info since, courtesy of Talking Joe. Thank you, Mark. But it says here, Skybound revealed the first batch of all new Gears of Joe variant covers from fan favorite artist Steve Beach, Green Lantern, for G.I. Joe: A Real American Hero, starting with issue 321, October 8th, 2025. Steve Beach provides the cover A and D for G.I. Joe: Cold Slither #1 as well, just so you know. Now, this will span issues 321 to 330. They will each spotlight an iconic G.I. Joe character set alongside their signature vehicle and gear, which have become series characters in their own right. The first wave of covers, now this was the confusing part, revealed today, span issues 321 to 326, and showcase in order Cobra Commander, Duke, Baroness, Shipwreck, Destro, and CoverGirl. Now, the confusing part was that the covers shown did not show Destro, but it is pending licensor approval. So that is why the Destro cover was not revealed. But I believe that comes before CoverGirl and after Shipwreck. So what are we expecting with Destro, by the way? Just as a shout. Now, Cobra Commander and the Hiss Tank, two very iconic Cobra, staples. And I think that is something you can definitely go, yeah, okay, fair enough. Cobra Commander doesn't necessarily, I'd probably argue the claw is quite synonymous with Cobra Commander, courtesy of the intro to the movie, his introduction in one of the miniseries, as the second miniseries, was it Revenge of Cobra? And also, like when you look at the Marvel comics as well, he's often depicted. There was a whole one where he's on a claw as well, on a cover actually. So there's a lot of Cobra Commander and claw, I would say, very iconic for Cobra Commander. If we're talking about their particular thing that is synonymous with them, then I think the claw might just pip the Hiss Tank. But I think the difference here is that the Hiss Tank is so obviously Cobra. It's so synonymous with the Cobra sort of situation that you can definitely, and he has been seen in Hiss Tanks over the years, so it's not a stretch in any way, shape, or form. So I think this one's a pretty safe, solid kind of maneuver, right? Duke and the Skyhawk is an interesting one because I wouldn't necessarily put the two together. They're both iconic in terms of G.I. Joe, though. Duke, very iconic character in G.I. Joe. The Skyhawk, a very iconic vehicle in G.I. Joe. Matt says, I did an action figure photo cover for 322 Skyhawk pick. Drops on IG Monday. I'll have to keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Matt. Or Matthew. Boba Fett says CC should have had the claw and Baroness should have had the hiss. Not a bad shout. I think Baroness is a good one, isn't it? I mean, what is the Baroness's, the Baroneyes? What's the Baroness's most obvious vehicle? Some may say, yeah, like the Hiss Tank would be kind of cool with her. But that's an interesting one, isn't it? She's very, I feel like the coil cycle, but that's a little bit more new than anything else, so maybe not. I think the ferret sort of works with the Baroness, but for me, the twins and the ferret are more, definitely. Well, we'll move on and have a look at those as well. But there's the Baroness and the ferret. I hadn't really talked about Duke in what actually makes sense for Duke yet, but that is a really difficult one because again, I think he's more about he's the poster boy for Joe in a sense, isn't he? And you could argue Snake Eyes is more, is higher up on that list, of course, but cool factor especially. But for in terms of Duke, he is sort of the quintessential Joe poster boy. Baroness and Rattler says Matthew, she's an excellent pilot indeed. Good shout. I think Destro will be on a Fang, says Cal. Not a bad shout, that one. But again, I think for me, when I think of the Fang, I think of just a standard Cobra Trooper. That's all I think, or an officer. That's what I see piloting a Fang, or one of those air sort of trooper with the kind of trooper that's just got the kind of kind of gas mask situation or respirator style mask on. That's what I kind of envision with a Fang. With Duke, I don't really see him in anything other than a jetpack. And I think you could have got away with him being on a jetpack, a la the movie intro. Some may say Stalker probably would probably edge him there, and maybe even obviously Grand Slam. But those two, I mean, I could see Stalker definitely ending up on a cover here because he is a kind of he is a kind of A-list character. But Grand Slam maybe not. But yeah, I think I do think though in terms of what Duke and Gia go, in terms of what they go together with, I think the jetpack makes most sense for me. The Skyhawk's not a bad shout though, and it is iconic for G.I. Joe, so whatever. Anyway, Baroness and the Ferret, not a bad shout, although I would suggest like I said before, that I think the twins are more synonymous with the ferret. But it doesn't really matter because, and again, we might get a twins cover as well eventually. We've only had the first, what did they say? It's the first 6, isn't it, revealed? Or not the first wave of covers, but the first reveals. So it's Cobra Commander, Duke, Baroness, Shipwreck, Destro, Cover Girl. So it's 6 issues. There's going to be 4 more. So it's likely, obviously, one, we're going to see Destro, of course, we know that. Other than that, though, who do you expect to see? I personally think we're probably going to see Snake Eyes, almost certainly. I don't know what he's going to be vehicle-wise. What would you, a motorcycle maybe? But even though that would be an interesting one, because it's not like there are many motorcycles in the line that he kind of, you know what I mean? Like, the Mirage or the Ram or something. But again, not really synonymous with Snake Eyes. It's a weird one, that, isn't it? Who would you put Snake Eyes with? Storm Shadow, I would also assume, but in terms of iconic characters, they're not necessarily iconic characters you put with vehicles. So yeah, that is a difficult one. If it's going to be going into not like crazy deep cuts, but like if we're getting into like iconic characters of, that are a little bit more tied into vehicles, then I could see them doing Wild Bill. I think Wild Bill's probably the biggest Joe sort of, well, Ace as well. Ace and the Sky Striker, Bill and the Dragonfly are probably the biggest Joe related sort of like characters that are, big enough to be without their vehicles, but also hard to see them without them at the same time. That said, I think the Dragonfly cover and a Sky Striker cover would definitely be good for both of those. But then they might do like Jay as a pilot in the Sky Striker or something. They might do Scarlet in the Sky Striker. They might do trying to think of other options here. Roadblock in an Ore Striker, maybe. Would that be too much? Oh, Scarlet on a Claw with Snake Eyes hitching a lift would be a really good shout, CH. I like that. Duke piloted the Skyhawk in the first in the comics, says Scott. So that makes a good shout then, Scott, as to why he's got that going on. So Tankslot says Baroness is also a good Hiss driver and bubble pilot. She has driven quite a lot of Cobra vehicles now that I think about it. Yep. Scott says Zartan, Destro, Dusty. Zartan, Destro, Dusty Ore Striker, Snow Job, Polar Battle Bear. I like it. Chris G says, how to tell when the story isn't interesting enough to matter? Just make 20 different covers. I don't know about that, mate. Snake Eyes with the black vamp. Well, it would be a black Ore Striker, wouldn't it? RKW, right? Unless you mean that Ninja Combat Cruiser, which was sort of a vamp mark, like 4 or something, wasn't it? Snake Eyes and Scarlet with a claw streaking up the sky as a Storm Shadow stands watching, says Jedi Ben. Yeah, just redo that whole panel, basically. Roadblock on the Road Toad, says Carlos. I love it. Cross Country and Havoc HasLab 2026, says Stygian. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Panther, says RKW. Oh, right. I see what you mean. As in Stalker, aka Snake Eyes repaint in the Panther. I get what you're saying. Got it. Now I'm with you, RKW. That was my bad for just sticking solely with the American G.I. Joe aspect. So thank you for pointing that out. Very, very good point. Anyway, yeah, so now Shipwreck and the Devilfish, I think, is a really good combination. A lot of people were saying, and myself included, I definitely see Wetsuit when I think of this. And I think it's the color combination more than anything else. And obviously the water specialty, of course. But Shipwreck and Polly are phenomenal with the Devilfish. And I think if the Devilfish did come out, I think I probably would have Shipwreck piloting it, to be honest. Spearhead on that trike, says Cal. Oh, brilliant. Yes. The little motorized backpack sort of deal. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I think Shipwreck and the Devilfish is an absolute spot on beauty. As do I think Cover Girl and the Wolverine. I think that is just, perfect. No notes. So there you go. Steve Beach is going to be doing Gears of Joe variant covers for issues 321 to 330 of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. So keep on the lookout for those as they get revealed. We've got a Destro one to come up to show, obviously, the cover of very soon, and then another 4 to add to that particular cover C collection. Now, as well as that, new comic book day this week as the 5th printing of G.I. Joe issue 1 hit stores. 5th printing. Get that in your head. That is how popular this comic has been so far. Skybound in general have just been churning out multiple printings for all these comics, so it's just a testament to the quality that they're churning out, and just the absolute fun they're having with this entire universe. Honestly, Transformers is doing well, Void Rivals is doing well, and G.I. Joe is all doing well, and it's all in the same Energon universe. And also the Real American Hero series is doing great as well. So it's we're in a good place. If you're a comics fan of G.I. Joe and Transformers and Void Rivals now, then you're going to be having a good time. And I'm having a very good time with these comics. So just wanted to make that very clear. A 5th printing of G.I. Joe issue 1 came out this Wednesday. So if you did miss it, there's another beautiful cover there by, is it Assad Ribic, I believe? And it is a really cool one as well, with Duke hanging off the side of that dragonfly with another vehicle in the background going down, maybe an Aspid, from what I can tell, or some sort of vehicle, but it's really cool. Awesome looking shot there, and awesome cover. There you go, sorted. I always think shipwreck on a sand catamaran, says Jedi Ben. Road Pig on the ferret, says Joe. That'd be kind of fun as well. Road Pig has actually got his own vehicle, especially in the Action Force monthly series, called the Dominator, I believe it's called. I know, which is bit of a name issue when you think of Destro's Dominator. I think Destro's going to be on a despoiler personally on that cover, but a few people are saying Fang. A few people, it could be anything really, couldn't it? At the end of the day, just something iconic really for Destro. Right then, that is the comics news. So we're going to move out of the comics news, and hopefully I will change graphics this time, like I didn't do on the news burst this week. I just kept the comics graphic on the screen, even though we were out of comics. Well, I mean, what was that about? Let's see if I remember this time. Let's do it. We're getting into whatever the news is that I've forgotten already. I remembered. Okay, it's Tiger Force Duke Super 7 Reaction Plus news. I just said it really in that one sentence. Yes, Yota the Joe has posted images of the Reaction Plus Tiger Force Duke from, I put Recation on there. Can you see that? I spelled reaction wrong in a massive way. I just got the C and the A the wrong way around. Didn't notice that until just now. Not that it really matters, because we're not going to be looking at it for much longer. There you go. And I probably could have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for my pesky eyes. Yes, so Yota the Joe posted the first image on the left-hand side. It's the same image on the right-hand side. I just zoomed in a little bit on the figure of the Duke figure that he picked up from Target. Now, obviously, this is looking to be a Target exclusive that is snuck out there by Super 7 within the Wave format. So probably either related to the previous wave, but also maybe not, because we have seen the back of this, and it is it's the same pre-sell. Sorry, yeah, not pre-sell. The same, what's it called? Cross-sell as previous figures. So it could be the same wave, but usually they would put like a little, Tiger Force Duke on there, but maybe Tiger Force Duke will be on the next cross-sell on whatever the next wave is, in which case this could be a figure that's coming out with the next wave. And therefore, we could have that next wave showing up pretty soon as well. So that would be what sounds like, from what Brian was talking about at the last panel that Super 7 did, a movie line of figures, as well as obviously the movie line that we had very recently pop up. So it looks like they'll be continuing with some movie figures going into the next wave. Of course, we have had the Royal Guard, Falcon, Unmasked Jinx, and Once a Man Cobra Commander wave. That is a movie wave, of course, but I think another one may be on the way. And of course, we've got this Tiger Force Duke repaint, which I'm again, it's a cool version of Duke in the Tiger Force kind of the Super 7 Tiger Force kind of vibes. I don't even remember what Duke looks like, Tiger Force. I think it's this. I think it's very similar to this from what no, it's a green shirt, I want to say. Tiger Force Duke. Bear with me. Duke V2. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, it was a green shirt and it was tan pants. So they've kind of flipped that a little bit and made the shirt darker, obviously. But yeah, it's like tan and black, tan pants with black tiger stripes. It's the kind of light grey boots, the green shirt with the little red collar and the tan helmet. In this case, and of course as well, if we're really going into the depth, the brown hair as well. So they've kind of done it again. This is where Super 7 sort of put their own spin on things, because they've kind of done that with Tiger Force, because it wasn't something that they were really doing accurately. They were doing characters that weren't in Tiger Force, like Snake Eyes and Scarlet. Same with Python Patrol, Baroness, Cobra Commander, Destro. Even the Bat technically was only in Python Patrol in Classified. So yeah, that they kind of do their own thing with the Tiger Force repaints, but I like it. And I like this kind of like brown shirt, green pants sort of Duke version. And again, almost like a what if Duke was in Tiger Force in the Sunbow cartoon. And like I said, Yo to the Joe did well. The other thing I want to mention before we move on here, other than Deco, is the fact that it's really odd, isn't it, that they've just given him Snake Eyes' sword. It's got a green sword, and then the artwork depicts that too. So it's not like they've kind of cut a corner here. They've cut a corner and then had to change the artwork. So some corners have not been cut in that sense. What I will point out though is I find it odd. I do like, this is Jason Edmiston art, and I do like Jason's artwork for the O-ring, but it's funny, isn't it, how he's a little off center from the tiger stripe background. Like, they usually make it so that the figure relates to the background shape, so it kind of like goes around them. So they'll have a lot of white around the interior color around them, like like near them, and then the stripes kind of like go further out. And there is off center, so it's a bit weird. I think they definitely should have moved the artwork over to the right a bit, and then even pushed the background to kind of like fit that. But there seems to have been a little bit of a sort of like rush to get that card kind of finished there. It's really funny actually. The as much as I've been loving the Super 7 Reaction Plus figures, the cards have had some very odd mistakes on them. The Zartan one had an odd line cutting across his hand as his hand broke the logo above him. And you saw like the line at the bottom of the J kind of cutting through his hand, I believe. And then there was another issue on one of them. Obviously, there was the Wild Bill kind of thing, which I think Brian explained in a panel. It was art that was then later like touched up, but a mistake was made, basically. So that's where the kind of hand sort of looked a little bit odd for the Wild Bill, according to them, of course. Mark says this is basically identical to the 5-point of articulation reaction figure, but accessory changed and art adjusted to have sword. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they've already done this in they've already kind of got this theme going, and they've been doing it, and they've been 100%. And like I said, I like this particular scheme from Duke 100%. But yeah, I'm not sure about the sword. Maybe like jungle machete, cutting down the jungle, because I mean Tiger Force are a jungle specialist team, originally. So I get that that's where they're coming from. And I'm also aware that they're not doing him with the brown hair because they're doing it as if Sunbow was Tiger Force, and they've been doing that, like Mark says, since Reaction Regular. Also, it looks as though he's got a backpack as well. It looks like he's got his backpack on. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like he probably does come with a backpack, and it's just actually affixed to the figure. Because that has happened a number of times with the Battle Android Trooper. It may even have happened with Duke himself as well, actually. But there you go. Is there any substance to the flu or of an Arctic hiss from Hasbro? The Hunter. Are you saying, is there any substance to the rumor? Well, it's not really a rumor. It's like it looks like it's going to be happening. Yes. The Arctic hiss, because they mention it very clearly in the video. And Emily said at the time, pay attention to what Cobra Commander says for any kind of future things. So like it's a big obvious nod to there probably being an Arctic hiss around the corner. HMS, but nothing official, Hunter. Like, well, I would say actually probably the most official thing they could do, other than say it out loud. But yeah, I would say that it's almost certainly more than just a rumor. That one, it's them saying, yeah, they like hinting, nod, nod, wink, wink, in the same way that they nod, nod, wink, wink to the Snowcat for the longest time. HMS and Fireteam are showing up on Amazon at $52 this weekend. HMS yesterday, Fireteam today. Thank you, Cal. And that is true. That is actually happening. Anyway, that is Duke from the front. They also posted, or Yo to the Joe posted a shot of the back of the card. Again, I think a lot of people were excited to see there was another wave coming around the corner. And, you know, whether it showed off in the back of the cross cell, but it doesn't. It's just the standard cross cell that was on the last bunch of figures. In actual fact, it's not even that, is it? Yeah, it is. It's got Jinx on there. It's got Jinx and Falcon and the Royal Guard. Yeah, it's got everything on there, basically. And there's your Duke Tiger Force card, which I can zoom in on here for you guys. And again, they've used that Sunbow artwork. I think that, yeah, probably lifted from the 5-point of articulation one, as Mark said earlier, as well. No changes in there other than the obvious Tiger Force inclusion in the in the card biography itself, but that was done exactly the same for the Tiger Force figure as well. So I think it's pretty much exactly the same. Anyway, that's Duke. I would expect more Reaction Plus wave news to come out following this, and keep an eye out at your targets for this Duke if you want him. It looks like he's showing up there right this minute. Right then. Next, I don't know what's next, because again, I have not been thinking about what to. Yeah, I know what's next. Next, we're talking about the big Hasbro move and another story regarding the Legacy Police Officer. Let's do it. Yes. Interesting stories coming out of Hasbro this week. The first one is a little bit of an annoying, bit of a sad one, in my opinion. They're moving to Boston. And I mean, it's one of those, yeah, they were always going to be doing this eventually, but it didn't feel like it was really on the cards based on what happened this year with everything that was going on, with the way that the company was kind of the position the company was in, the financials and all that kind of stuff, and the most recent financials. It's not like it's not like they're losing a lot of money. Do you know what I mean? They're still making a lot of money. It's just in this kind of day and age, and with corporations, they have to be making a certain amount, otherwise it's like an issue. Now, that said, they're still going ahead with the move, and they're starting that process pretty much immediately, with the finalization of the move to be around the end of 2026. So obviously what that means is they're going to be preparing the space, getting that ready, getting all the logistics of shifting everything from one spot to the other with as little impact to the company as possible. I don't know how that works. Maybe they move departments over one by one, which would probably be the best way to do it, because obviously you're going to cause some issues. A lot of it's probably going to have to be done over the weekend in terms of the moving of stuff, and then teams are going to have to kind of like move with it. The sad thing about the whole thing is that it's not really the most beneficial thing to do for the employees, is it? I think this is definitely driven by the CEO. I think Chris Cox has said in the past that he wants to move to Boston. He's always wanted that for the company since he started I guess as CEO, when Brian Goldner passed away and Chris Cox stepped in, and the company obviously changed tack to what they were doing as a overarching company. They went from that kind of entertainment sort of company that they were trying to aim for, to switch to a kind of digital gaming company, which in itself is a really difficult thing to do. It's not something that's going to be easy, and it's certainly not something that they've transitioned into very comfortably. And I would still say there's a lot of work to do regarding that. But that by the by, that's by the by. Like, I think this is going to impact mainly the employees, to the point where this feels also very much like a sort of, how would you put it, like a soft layoff sort of situation where they know that some people are not going to be able to do this. They're going to have to look for other work in the time between now and the actual full on move. I think a lot of people are just not going to be able to do this, because it is a situation where you may think, oh, well, it's only a move up there. It's still, it's still fairly close. It's going to be significant. And as someone who has commuted on a regular basis, my commute can be up to, an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 30 minutes if it's really bad traffic. And for the most part, it's usually bad traffic in this area, in Rhode Island and Massachusetts, especially that sort of like that direct line to Boston. It's mental. Like, it's some of the worst traffic I've ever experienced. And I've lived in lots of different places in the world, and this is probably the worst traffic I've ever experienced. Now, could it be the worst in the world? Maybe not, but it's up there with my experience of living in different places. And yeah, and it's not even that's the issue. It's the cost of that particular move. A lot of people are going to have to move. They're going to have to move closer in order to make that commute actually make sense. And that means uplift. That means uprooting, the whole family for the most part, and changing a lot of different things that are part of the everyday life. Now, they are going to be, as a company, they're going to be positioned probably in a better place for, I don't know, for lots of different professional things. But at the same time, like I said, I think they're gonna. I think I feel more upset about the fact that it's going to impact employees in a massive way, and I feel like that is just very much glossed over by the company as a whole. And yeah, this isn't something that's gone down very well, from my understanding. So yeah, and also the fact that it's not even like you can drive in and then park up. It's going to be a huge cost either in parking, because it's not going to be like an easy parking scenario. Trust me, it ain't. It's going to be an expensive parking scenario, and it's going to be and for those that aren't driving in, it's going to be an expensive commute on train or whatever as well. And again, it's also not convenient train journey either. You then have like a fairly significant trek from the nearest station to the actual place. So it's one of those things where I kind of feel like they really have not thought about the employees in any way, shape, or form here. It's just like I don't know. It feels like a big middle finger, honestly. Yeah. So yeah, zero practical kind of commute. People are saying, well, it's not that bad a drive. Yeah, okay. That's by the by. You've got to put your car somewhere when you get there, and they won't have like a parking structure to do it. So it's going to be really tough, and it's going to be costly. And yeah, you're talking about you're increasing the distance, so you're increasing gas, you're increasing the like I said, the parking costs. That's an increase in well, you're adding a parking cost, so that's an increase in cost, and you're requiring your employees to be there. So it's like, it's really, really rough. Yeah, since when did Hasbro ever think about their employees? Indeed, the hunter, indeed. So it's kind of a bit sucky. There are lots, in my opinion, there's loads of cons to this, and I think the pros are really just down to the exec level at the end of the day. I think it's really just a move for the executives, to be honest. And even then, like, who knows? I think this is going to be one of those things where a lot of people are going to have to find other employment, or they're going to have to find a way of making it work that doesn't impact them in such a major significant way. It's not like they're going to all get raises for this. If anything, it's going to be, they're going to be a lot more cost cutting measures put into place, I'd imagine, with a move this significant. But again, this has an inbuilt soft layoff feature, so that's probably what's going to happen. In any case, that's a situation with the move. It's not going down very well, I don't think, for the most part. But it's change. No one likes change, and I'm also quite sad that it's moving further away from where I am. Although I technically moved further away from it when I moved house anyway, so it's not a massive major issue. Just less trips on the way home to the old bro for me. Anyway. Stanley says, how will this affect the brand team members that we know of, streams and interactions? Not really sure, Stanley. I'm sure it's clearly going to affect everyone that is in all of the brand teams. It's going to affect them negatively as well. Will that mean that we will have different looking teams at the end of it? More than likely. But I don't know at the end of the day. It's one of those things where we'll just have to wait and see, unfortunately. It seems more like a status move than anything for the executive level, says Jedi Ben. Yeah, 100%. This is for the execs, 100%. This is a status thing, 100%. Yeah. Anyway, it sucks, but that's happening. Who knows? Maybe they'll make the building really cool and slightly accessible, and it's one of those things where it becomes a little kind of fun place to kind of maybe visit every now and again. Not that it will be, of course. I was thinking more like some along the lines of some sort of little kind of public access museum or something they could do. But no, I don't know. Who knows? We'll have to see, won't we? It was really cool. The proposed idea that Providence had for keeping them there was an interesting one, where they were talking about doing like a little, almost like a little lab, like you could see in the glass, like you could see in the windows of like them working on stuff. NDA nightmare. It would have to be one of those Jurassic Park situations, maybe, where they were kind of like fronting a little bit, like it was a little bit of a lie going on the tour. But then obviously the real stuff was happening behind closed doors. But yeah, there was this kind of talk of them doing some sort of little kind of walk-in museum feature sort of thing, which would be kind of like, it would be outside, but you would kind of walk through it like a little history walk sort of thing, which would be really, really cool. And that would have been the other side, I think, of the walking bridge, the footbridge in Providence, which I think would have been a kind of cool place to be. And they were going to build a new building, and that was sort of like floated, but unfortunately they've gone a different direction. They should turn the old building into a museum, says Boba Fett. Yeah, that would be amazing. Imagine thinking Boston gives you status, says Tim Pop Kid. Brilliant. Jason said they've been planning this for a while, but it seems like Cox already had his mind made up last year when he complained the current building is showing its age. Oh, for sure. And yes, we've been reporting on it for years. This is not something new, but it is something I wasn't expecting given the current climate of what has been happening this year. Yes, it's been planning for ages, and they've probably had this entire location getting prepped, ready on the down low. Or not even on the down low, probably just it's been happening since, for a longer period of time. But who knows? We'll find out when the next Toy Wars book comes out, right? Or when the next, in like 20 years' time, when someone does a podcast about it and reenacts everything. By the way, check out Business Wars. It's such a good podcast. I love that thing. There's a really good series on Business Wars. You can find it anywhere, on Hasbro versus Mattel, Toys R Us versus KB Toys, and just stuff. It's great. It's so awesome. And they're like really long episodes, and there's like 7 or 8, installments of each, parts for each one. And it's really cool. So go check out Business Wars. It's such a fun podcast. Anyway, there you go. Hasbro moving to Boston. And interestingly enough, I think in a strategic play, because earlier in the day before this news was announced, they dropped the promo images, the official promo images for the Legacy Police Office or the Emergency Service Unit. And this hadn't been up long enough for me to have any sort of like discussion or what have you before the we're moving to Boston news dropped. And I feel like it was almost done strategically so that this sort of got forgotten a little bit. And what was even more interesting was when it was posted on the G.I. Joe socials specifically, didn't go on any of the others. It just went on the G.I. Joe Facebook page, Instagram, and maybe something else. I can't remember if there was anything else, but it went up originally just the promo images, these packaging images that we're seeing here, these shots of the figure and what comes with the figure and what have you here, and then of course promo images. They all went up with no caption or no information initially. So I posted everything, shared everything, and it was like, okay, the cop's coming, and we'd reported on this. Amazon listings have been showing up, GameStop listings have been showing up for the Legacy Emergency Service Unit, but no specific date. And one date was thrown around of November 1st, but I think it was more a rumor than anything else. Or it may have been a date attached to maybe one of the listings that someone had found. But at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to be coming sooner than that. Now, later on, after I'd posted all the images and reshared all of the friggin' promo images from the G.I. Joe pages, the caption was updated and they added the text, "Yo Joe, we're excited to share that the Legacy ESU police officer will be reporting for duty this fall. Look out for this classified series figure arriving at your favorite physical and online retailers in the coming weeks. Don't miss your chance to add the Legacy ESU police officer to your collection." So a bit vague, but this is going to be going up obviously from that point, which was 5 days ago. So maybe it like next week, the week after, coming weeks, you're kind of thinking 2 to 3. You're not thinking if it's going to be longer than that, then you start talking months, don't you? Like next month or in, like they say fall, but they're literally saying in there as well, in the coming weeks. And to me, it is a little bit vague, but it's also, I would say, a little bit clearer than what we were kind of going on beforehand. But yeah, yes, Shark Eyes has a review up on the cop. Yes, he does. Shout out to Shark Eyes Toy View, who is Adam. Go go check him out. He gets a lot of the figures early. Now so that said, I think we can expect this one fairly soonish. But again, it's probably just going to appear. It's probably just going to be up on your Amazons and your GameStops, and they might do another post to say, hey, it's up and it's ready and it's up for pre-order or what have you. But this does feel like one of those things where they just wanted to kind of put it out there, let you know that it was there, and then like it wasn't even hours later, was it? It felt like it was really soon afterwards. Oh, we're moving to Boston. And obviously that took a lot of the what's the word? The attention off this particular post and diverted it to all the news channels, like all of like the local news channels were reporting it, because obviously it's a big deal in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And all of the kind of news kind of sites had it, and the press release and Hasbro's own post, which was very telling as well. So like that seemed to suck all of the air out of this particular story, and I think probably had the right. I mean, I'm highlighting it very clearly right now. I'm not saying I'm going to have any like big effect on that, of course, but it was interesting to me, and it did hit me very specifically. Like, yeah, that was a clever strategic move. Again, based on the controversy surrounding this particular figure and the time that it was coming out in regards to what was going on currently. So anyway, there you go. There's another couple of all the images. Obviously, again, we've seen all these images. I've covered them, to multiple degrees of depth on previous episodes when they kind of leaked in the first place. We covered them then as well. And that's pretty much it. So that is the ESU. So keep an eye out for the next couple of weeks, I would say, for this one showing up at, as they put it, favorite physical and online retailers, which doesn't necessarily say Pulse, but Pulse is assumed. But who knows? Maybe they don't put it up on Pulse and it just goes everywhere else and it just becomes like a figure on in GameStops and Target and Walmart and I guess like online retailers like BBTS, Entertainment Earth, all the usual places in that sense. Yes, Max, Preternia. Go check out Preternia if you want the latest in pre-orders and when things are going up and stuff. He does a great job of keeping on top of all that for sure. Right, that is that. Now attached to classified and staying in that kind of classified realm, we do have a number of recent US port arrivals this week, like loads of stuff. Well, actually, this was this particular one we're looking at the moment: Pythona, Short Fuse and Steeler, Ghost Viper with Dire Beasts. All of that situation was sort of like prior. So SP Kyle or Pythona showed up at 3 different times during the month of August in shipping data, shipping data that suggests that they were in port. That was a weird way of saying it, but yeah, basically she showed up in port 3 separate occasions in August, okay? Early, mid, and towards the end of August. Short Fuse and Steeler showed up at the end, I want to say, of August and the beginning of October. Short Fuse and Steeler, what month are we in? September, was at the beginning of September, and Ghost Viper with Dire Beasts was in August and September. Does that make sense? So Pythona 3 different times in August, Short Fuse and Steeler beginning of September, and Ghost Viper with Dire both the end of or in August and around the recent time I posted this in September as well. So so all of these kind of flooding in and showing up obviously points to that we're going to have Pythona in hand for her fall drop, or it won't be pre-order, will it? It'll be actually in stock order at the cons. So she'll probably be in stock at cons, and then of course when you order her on Pulse or what have you afterwards, it will probably be shipped almost immediately. So you're looking at Pythona just being your standard convention exclusive there, and then of course later Pulse. So that's around October 9th, 10th, 11th, etc. Keep an eye out for her over New York Comic Con for that. Short Fuse and Steeler are target full geek out, and we have it under good authority that they're going to be showing up one of these Fridays very soon. So that could be next week. As soon as next week, we could be seeing Short Fuse and Steeler for target full geek out. But that is really at the moment just a little kind of maybe speculative rumor. But I would stay frosty for this coming Friday. Okay, just putting out there. It may behoove you to pay attention on Friday morning for target fall geek out. All right, there you go. And in terms of Ghost Viper with Dire, the fact that they're also in port and have been in port for a while would suggest that we're seeing them. What's the word? With Walmart CollectorCon, which would be over that same weekend that New York Comic Con is at. So I'd expect, your Walmart CollectorCon situation around the 9th as well of October. So again, likely to be an in-hand sort of scenario, that one, rather than a pre-order. So that's those ones that kind of explained for now. We also got this huge tsunami of figures. So we have Apu Sci-Fi, Grim Viper, Mainframe, Wetsuit, and the Retro Bat, all hitting port in like early September. So so it's not usually we talk about 3 weeks, is it? It's about 3 weeks to 3 to 4 weeks that we start seeing these figures showing up in pre-orders. When they hit port, it's usually about 3 to 4 weeks following that by the patterns that we've seen previously. So I would expect to see these start kind of like coming in fairly soon. We're starting to see like your major bloods. I did a video of that the other day, which I'm bone to pick with TikTok here, by the way. I posted that video, that major blood video, with the music that is on all the other platforms that is I produced. I put it on TikTok and it gave me a copyright infringement saying that it wouldn't, whatever. I'm like, it is barely indistinguishable from its sample, may I add. And that particular track is like just the horn bits and stuff that I've cut and chopped. So it's really, really like, that's a stretch. But yeah, just TikTok would just kept muting it. So I just gave up in the end. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna re-edit it to different music. Go yourself. I decided just to leave it on all the other platforms. In any case, whatever, by the by. It's fine on all the other platforms, including YouTube, which usually also is very a stickler for that sort of thing. But yeah, to be honest, I think it's a misidentification from their sort of AI that does that sort of thing anyway. And then obviously it's really difficult to sort of get it sorted. I've put in sort of like a ticket for it, but who knows? We'll have to see how it goes, won't we? Jason says Marvel Legends on the 19th. So next week makes sense since they like to sell Hasbro stuff all at once. Yes, absolutely, Jason. That does make a lot of sense. Wetsuit, says Blitz. I'm waiting for the Target Geek Out NECA Granny Bebop Baby Rocksteady release. Yes, Stanley, that's an amazing set. That is. Moray 2026. This is the way, says Bias. Okay. Really trying to push the Moray 2026 on this one. And it's totally cool because I'm down for that too. Anyway, Sci-Fi, Grim Viper, Mainframe Wetsuit, and the Retro Bat. Expect to see them within the next 3 to 4 weeks, give or take, in your pre-orders, if you've pre-ordered them anyway. Right. That's everything for that. And we're already at leaked listings, which again, no change, I don't think. Everything's as it was. So Police ESU is now out of that postponed zone and is obviously going to be showing up in a week or two. Cartman 2-pack, which is Short Fuse and Steeler. Expect Target Full Geek Out Friday, of course. Expect next week. Makes the most sense. Again, it has been said that we've got next Friday is the Marvel one, so it makes sense that Hasbro are dropping their stuff on the same day. So yeah, expect Short Fuse and Steeler on Friday is all I'd say on that one. Nothing officially confirmed, but like I said, I would say that would be the most likely outcome. Ghost Viper and Dire Beasts, again, Walmart Collecticon around October the 9th, around NYCC time for Pythona, which of course we know is the full con exclusive, and then later on Pulse. Hope all of that makes sense. No other changes, no other updates. Still don't know who Chairface is. I have removed that Mutton Junkyard now because I'm feeling less and less confident about that being. That was a guess as well, by the way. I don't have any extra information about that Chairface at all, other than knowing that it's the figure pet price point and is a Fanmazin. And it just seemed to line up with maybe a repaint, redeco of what we've already had figure, pet style. And the unknown vehicle is still going to be an unknown vehicle until, something more official pops up. And Ralph T was an inactive listing. So it didn't get cancelled. It just got moved onto the next retro, which is on this page. So Lifeline, Night Viper, and Hit and Run are standard figures as well as Big Lob. Those are the listings they line up with, as well as Iceberg. But that is not necessarily how they're going to be released. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit up in the air at the moment, based on how the line plan has been affected since last year and since this year, really, more than anything else. But yeah, we do know that those particular listings are those particular characters, and they've been name only revealed, so we've unlocked them on this listing sheet. And there's a lot more figures on here, I can tell you. Taurus and Red Dog was one that we unlocked, probably the first one I think we unlocked on this particular group of listings, and it has grown significantly as well since we revealed that one. And of course, Gleep is the HasLab Snowcat, which is on there too. Anything else that pops up, name only reveals, renders, things that the teams say as giveaways or whatever, as information giveaways, we will do some unlocks as well for those too. So there you go. More stuff to come. when we know what it is, because it was also for the longest time we didn't know which one Lifeline, Night Viper, Hit and Run, Big Lob, and Iceberg were. So when we finally got that information, it was nice to unlock that for everybody, as well as you. Nice for me to unlock it for myself. So there you go. Lots more to come for 2026. The official name only reveals are these: Lifeline, Hit and Run, Iceberg, Taurus and Red Dog, Big Lob, and the Night Viper, of course, already unlocked on that previous listing page, and digital renders, which are very soon all to be pre-order drops for the ESU, Short Fuse Stealer, Pythona, and the Ghost Viper with Die, which we've already discussed to massive degrees already, so we don't need to continue with that. That leaves me to get into shout-outs, and but before we do, a little message from our sponsor. Yeah, Battle Action Force, the Deluxe Treasury Editions are available right now at totaltoybooks.com if you're European or from the UK, and Skeletron.com if you are in the US. So definitely check these out. They are the most beautiful reissues of this particular, releases of this work that you're ever going to see. They are phenomenal. If you've ever been interested in the kind of Palatoy era, Battle Action Force era of G.I. Joe and Action Force, then and you've always wanted to know of the stories, or you've always wanted to read the comics, but you've never had the time, this is probably the best way to do that in these beautiful deluxe treasury editions. And they are available, like I said, at totaltoybooks.com or skeletron.com. Beautiful pieces of work. Also, massive shout out to Phil and Pat of Articulated Points. Go check out their latest video, link in the description underneath. Of course, Pat, my usual co-host, hasn't been on for a while. We're going to try and rectify that very soon, but unfortunately it's just the availability that we both have not lining up at the moment. But we'll figure it out and we'll get there. But for right now, you just get me at the moment. But again, it'll just make it even sweeter when Pat comes back for everybody, I think. So yeah, there's shout out to Articulated Points, as I said before. Go check out their latest video, link in the description, and go and sub to them as well, please. Also, massive shout out to Codename Iowa, who put on Assembly Required, the in-person convention in Des Moines, Iowa, this November 14th and 15th. They have obviously been revealing a lot this week. Ron Rudat is going to be a guest of honor, which is awesome. Shout out to Ron, who also showed up as well on local news. It's a local news for local people, as he reflected on his 28-year career at Hasbro, which I've got an image for as well. We'll talk about that in a little while, but you can actually go check that out on our Facebook page as well. But anyway, Ron will be there, and you'll be able to reflect on his 28-year career with him in person at Assembly Required. There you go. They've also shared a couple of sneak peeks of the t-shirts from this year's show, including a bat repair tech, which says friendly fire. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Quite like that. That's beautiful, but that t-shirt's amazing with the glitchy hand and everything. It's so cool. And then the Viper window washing service, LLC, coming to clean, obviously is the Viper is coming homage. I like that though. Very nice indeed. A couple of very fun t-shirts there. Jason says, did Ron Rudat retire or move on, or was he unceremoniously laid off like John Warden? I guess you're saying there, Jason. Yes. I can't remember I don't actually know. I feel embarrassed that I don't know how Ron's career at Hasbro came to an end. It's going to be most likely layoffs, but I don't think it was. Yeah, you'll have to read his interview in, like I said, the WPRI.com, WPRI12 post that is on our socials. Go check that out and you'll probably find out. I also need to read it as well, clearly. But I don't recall how it finished for Ron in that sense. But in any case, maybe ask him at AR as well. But their t-shirts, very cool. Love those. Brian does amazing work with that. And of course, codenameiowa.com if you want to pick up any of the older stuff that they've done at previous conventions, including t-shirts, sell pop cards, all sorts of different cool stuff and merch. Go check out that. And also their gear kits are up for pre-order and the tickets and everything as well on codenameiowa.com for the show. So you can kind of do that in one go if you like. And also massive shout out to Skeletron, of course, for their wonderful RoboSkull Mark IIs. Always give Skeletron a shout out. A semi sort of also sponsor of the show as well, because they're obviously involved in the deluxe battle, the Battle Action Force Deluxe Treasury Editions. So they will also get a shout out as well for that alone. And also the RoboSkull being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, action figure vehicle of all time, developed and changed for the modern figures by the wonderful Skeletron team. And there you go. G.I. Joe designer reflects on 28-year career at Hasbro. Go check it out on our list on our Facebook page. The post is on there, and like I said, you'll be able to find everything out that you didn't know about Ron's career at Hasbro. Maybe not everything though. Mark says, I think Ron was made redundant though after he decided to move from the Joe brand. I believe we talked about it in the Talking Joe interview, and go check that out as well then. On Talking Joe's page on their YouTube channel as well. All right, then. I think that's everything. It is. Thank you guys for joining me for another Full Force Weekly. I've kind of done that in about an hour's time. It's been a kind of like very succinct episode. Not tons and tons of stuff to get into, obviously, this week, but we did have a few bits and pieces to get stuck into. I would imagine a bit more that next week to talk about based on those other things we were talking about as well. So yeah, I will see you then, or if not beforehand for news bursts in the week. I'll see the patrons tomorrow for your usual Q&A. We'll be talking about the usual stuff on there. So if you're a Red Shadow Army or SAS patron, I'll see you tomorrow around about the same time, about 3:00, if not a little sooner in the day. And yeah, like I said, other than that, I will be unboxing this beauty though as well. Yes, Lauren pre-order came in, which is nice. So yeah, I'm excited to get stuck into that and hopefully edit it with music that can be played on TikTok, whatever. Right then, I'll see you guys. Oh, Bias says Manchester Derby tomorrow, Chris. Am I nervous? I'm not nervous with Manchester United anymore because I know we're going to lose. So there's no nervousness anymore. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Stay fresh, cheese bags. And as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3. Can't count clearly. Full force. Later. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos. And as always, you can keep up with the show after listening by following on all of our social platforms, links in the description. And if you would like to contact the show, you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback or questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.